So let's go. And away we go. Friday edition of the show. All across America on SportsMap Radio. All over the world on the SportsMap Radio app. Flanked by producer engineer extraordinaire, the one and only Charles Carter. I'm Jason Page. Hello, Charles. I got to tell you, I did not think I was going to be able to do the show tonight. And I'm not being like dramatic or anything like that. So I had a round of golf this morning that was scheduled for a couple of weeks. A friend of mine who writes for a golf publication here in Southern California. He's come on the show, Judd Spicer. He did our updates from the U.S. Open out at the L.A. Country Club. Judd invited me out to play golf today at Indian Wells Golf Resort, which is just fantastic. It's attached to the Indian Wells. It's right across the street from the Indian Wells Tennis Gardens, which is where the fifth largest major tournament in the tennis tournament in the world is held, the BNP Paribas, which after the U.S. Open, the French, the Australian, and Wimbledon is the largest tennis tournament in the world. It's a full field 2-week event, which you don't get outside of the majors. So, I should have been intercepted. So as we were, so Judd invited me out to play today at Indian Wells. It's a comped round, so I'm not going to say no. And it's a $100 round of golf. I'm not going to say no. Problem is the round started at 9:30 in the morning. Okay. And in Palm Springs at 9:30 in the morning, it's about 90 to 95. And a 18-hole round of golf, especially with slow-ass people playing in front of us as we had all day, means you're probably looking at 3.5 to 4 hours, which means you're not getting off the course until about 1:30. By the time we got off the course at 1:30, it was 110 degrees. And I don't care if you're wearing light-colored clothing. I don't care what you're wearing. If you're talking about that kind of heat, you're screwed. By the time I got to like the 14th, 15th hole, I was done. And I played really well in stretches today, considering I don't play golf like I used to. Like I only play once a month if I'm lucky. I used to play 3 times a week, and I was a 9.5 handicap. Now if I shoot in the 80s, I'm happy. I shot 89 today, which wasn't terrible. But I had a birdie on the scorecard. Second hole today. Knocked it stiff within about 5 feet, almost put it in the jar. Made my putt, got my birdie. Made a lot of putts today. But the problem, so here's the problem. I started thinking about my golf game, and I got sidetracked there, as is wont to happen with me. The problem is, I think I had heat stroke. So when I got back at like 2:00 to the apartment, I was done. Like, that was it. I was ready to pass out. Had this pounding headache. My face was bright red. My husband was like, dude, you got to like get into a cold shower like now. Like, not a cold shower, but like a cool shower. Cold shower will shock you too much. It could kill you. But it was rough. So I had to get in, cool off. I took about 17 Advil for the headache. And by like 5:00, I was all right. But I got to tell you, at like 3:00 today, there wasn't going to be a show. There was not going to be a show today at 3:00. But I said, let me see how I feel by 5. Then we had to go meet up with a friend for dinner who's visiting from out of town from New York, the Big Apple. And then I had to deal with something else. So let me tell you this, and then we'll get to the big stuff of the day. How about this that I had to deal with today? We have a hurricane coming to Southern California. Have you seen this? We don't get hurricanes. Go look at the forecast for Palm Springs. If we get 7 inches of rain in 5 years, that would be about normal rainfall. They're talking about 5 to 7 inches of rain in 2 days here, which is, people don't understand. That is going to be catastrophic in a place like Palm Springs. And up in the mountains, which we are in the valley here, up in the mountains, they're talking about 10 inches. That water's all coming down here. I am telling you, this is going to be a devastating storm for where I live. I had to check today to see if we were in a flood zone, because I used to live where we used to do the show when you would watch us. I was living in a different location a week and a half ago. And in that location, we're elevated. We're up a flight of stairs. Even though we're considered first floor, we were on top of a parking garage. So anyway, that whole thing meant we didn't have to worry about flooding. Now I am on ground level in the place we're renting now. So I'm literally looking outside going, is this all going to be underwater in 48 hours? Like, is my broadcast gear going to be sitting in puddles of water? Now, the building has assured me that that's not going to happen, because we're in the upper, we're more uphill in this complex, and the people down at the other end of the lot are going to get it bad, but they're guaranteeing me that I'm going to be okay. I'm not believing them, because this is going to be rainfall like we've never seen here before. There's never been a tropical storm watch in Southern California, ever. But hey, just keep telling yourself climate change, it's not real. So we'll see. Monday, I'm not going to be on the air Monday. I was planning to take Monday off anyway. But hopefully it's not going to be a huge disaster here. They're saying that several golf courses here might be completely wiped off, like the map here. Yeah, because everything's so low. And the type of rain they're talking about, the flooding, there really might not be like several golf courses might be gone. Yes, it's a desert. We live in the desert. We have tons of mountains around us. We're in the valley. It's the Coachella Valley. If you stand in Palm Springs and look around, there's tons of mountains. All that water is going to come down from the mountain. It's going to be, I'm telling you, it's going to be catastrophic. And I'll be all by myself because my husband's flying to Nashville tomorrow. So it's going to be great. Well, they're saying the wind part won't be bad. Originally, they were saying 60-mile-an-hour winds. Now they're down to like 30. So I don't even think we'll have to worry about like power outages or anything like that. And because this city is so antiquated, most of the power lines are above ground. You know, it's pole to pole, that sort of thing. Like when I lived in New York City, I always marveled at the fact that all the power lines were underground. You don't see power lines like in Brooklyn and stuff like that. Like I grew up in places where you just always saw power lines. Now here, there's just tons of power lines. So I think we're going to be okay as far as the power is concerned. If we lose power, we're screwed. If we lose power for a long time here, people will die because after this storm goes through, it'll be 110 again. So you can't have power outages at a place like that. So if you're within the sound of my voice in Southern California, take the warnings seriously and make sure you have a plan. Because I don't think a lot of people are taking it that seriously because we don't get hurricanes in Southern California. We don't get tropical storms in Southern California. They're saying this thing might be felt as far north and east as Vegas. Vegas doesn't get tropical storms. They don't know what to do when it happens. It's going to be chaos. I'm telling you. Just remember I told you. I'll be glad we're not on the air on Monday. Just tell you that. Because my entire living room might be underwater. We're ready. There's a storm drain right outside my door. Right? There's a storm drain. Like a drainage pipe. And I picked up the drain. I picked up the lid over the drain. And I looked. And half of the drain had sand in it. I'm like, this is going to go great. And meanwhile, I got the building management telling me, oh, no, it's going to be fine. And then they sent me then today, after they said that, after they sent over the super to try and put my mind at ease, this is the best part. I got to read this because it's too funny. Management, hey, hello, Jason. Management takes your concerns seriously. This is the actual email. I've called the Palm Springs City in regards to the drainage area being serviced. They stated it had been, and if any residents see overflowing, please contact the fire department immediately. Yeah, because when the entire city's flooded, they're going to come over to my place and unclog the drain. They'll send someone out as soon as possible. And then it says the name of the complex I live in, which I won't say on the air. Blank is trying to prepare at the best they can. If any after-hours emergencies occur, please call this number. They might as well have just said, you're on your own. Because we're on our own. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great weekend, Charles. It's going to be a great weekend. No, I grew up in Connecticut. I lived through Hurricane Gloria, Superstorm Sandy. I've been through storms. I've been through storms that put 3 feet of snow. I mean, I've been through storms. That's not the thing. I'm not worried about how I handle it. I'm worried about how the city is going to handle it. And I live in a city with a ton of elderly people who already don't know how to drive. Then they're going to try going out in this, and it's going to be a disaster. I'm just telling you, it's going to be a disaster. You can see it already coming. Look for us on the news this weekend in Palm Springs, California. Total spitstorm in the making. One of the league's up-and-coming premier backs made their debut in the NFL tonight. But I was thinking about it, and I'm trying to figure out what this kid has to look forward to. I'll explain next on the Cash-In. Dude, no joke. I am mortified of what's going to happen here on Sunday. Tomorrow's not going to be bad. Sunday's when it's going to be really bad. Like I said, we're going to see catastrophic rain, an amount of rainfall that doesn't happen here. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be in Sunday. But I was here. The funny part is, when the first time I came to Palm Springs, which I thought was just for a temporary assignment and around Valentine's Day of 2019, they had a similar type storm. It wasn't a hurricane or a tropical storm or anything like that, but some crazy rainstorm came through here and it dumped like 3 or 4 inches of rain. That was 3 or 4 inches, and it literally shut down the city for weeks. They're talking at least 5 to 7 inches here. And if that's what we get, we're screwed, man. We're so screwed. No, it's just not a city that's big. It doesn't rain. It doesn't rain here. We get a shower, it's news. Like I said, the mountains that I'm looking up at, they're talking 10 inches up there. And all that runoff comes to us. Yeah, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. So Jerry Bonkowski will join us to talk NASCAR in 15. And I'm going to be really lazy tonight. I'm going to, at 8:30 my time, 10:30 your time, I'm going to replay the Dale Scott interview from Wednesday. And that'll take up 2 segments. It's a fucking slow night. There's not a lot going on. I'm not going to sit here and talk about preseason football. And then we'll replay Jerry as usual at 11:30 your time. Well, no, 10:30 your time? 10:30 your time. And then we'll be done at 11. But I've got a bunch of stuff outside of that. I didn't do the rundown like I normally would today because I was literally suffering from heat stroke. But I do have a rundown done. What'd you say? Yeah, I've had heat stroke before, so luckily I know the signs. and I know what to do when it happens. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. Good to have you all with us tonight. SportsMap Radio. SportsMap Radio app. One of the league's future shining stars made his debut tonight. Bijan Robinson, who a lot of people are excited about in Atlanta. I mean, you look at the kind of draft pick they used on him. Made his debut, and I think some would say the first play that he had tonight was kind of a harbinger of what's to come if you look at him.
Takes the handoff. Bijan Robinson, his first carry is a first down up to the 40.
He's going to be really exciting. People are excited about him, and for good reason, man. They got that. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah, we're not on there anymore. Yeah, we lost our affiliate. The Horn switched owners, so they decided to air something that was probably inferior to us. But yeah, they decided to put something else on. We're trying to get on another station in Austin. Why did he play? He was a UT guy, right? Yeah, he's got some moves, man. He could juke and do some fantastic stuff. I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch this season. So Bijan Robinson made his debut today, and all I could think to myself was, well, that's great, but what do you have to look forward to now if you're Bijan Robinson? And it's hard not to look at. He had 4 carries for 20 yards tonight. 1 catch for 6 yards. So got his feet wet, got a little bit of action tonight. 3:15 to go, fourth quarter. Atlanta leads Cincinnati 10-6. Still no Joe Burrow in this preseason for the Bengals. Taylor Heineke tonight, 13 of 21 for 162 for Atlanta. Desmond Ridder, 7 of 9 for 80. Browning and Simeon getting the snaps under center for Cincinnati in this game. But, I mean, you have to ask, I think it's a legitimate question. What is there to look forward to if you're, the days of being drafted in the NFL and being excited, your career in front of you, there is so much uncertainty now at the running back position. If you're a star running back in college, I mean, and I think this is legitimate. If you're a star running back in college, do you think about staying for all 4 years? Knowing that you're able to get that NIL money. Then you get to the NFL, you're going to have, 4 years, 5 years of player control or team control before you're able to get to free agency. Then you've got to worry about the franchise tag. Then you can get franchise tagged again. And then before you know it, if you're a running back in the NFL, your career's over. You're 28, 29 years old. It's done. The next cycle has started. The next crop of running backs is already up, and you're done. It's a real problem. And I don't know if you're the NFL Players Association, you've got to start figuring this out now so that when guys like Bijan Robinson hit free agency or 4 or 5 years, they're not going to have to worry about their future. And I don't mean to make it sound like I'm trying to sit here and tell you to be sympathetic for professional athletes that make millions of dollars. But the shelf life in particular of an NFL player is so short. And the average amount of money that the typical NFL player is making, I'm not talking about Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers or Josh Allen, or you look at quarterback salaries and you think everybody makes a lot of money in the NFL. That's just not the case. I would love to know, what is the average salary? Average salary of an NFL player. There we go. Average salary Yeah, once I find it. How much does this is work.com. Oh, cron.com. Average NFL quarterback salary is actually only $4.8 million. Sounds like a lot. Here you go. Average NFL salary is $2.7 million. That was a year ago. So it's not, again, we're not talking, it hasn't probably jumped that much from one year to the next. So the average NFL salary, oh no, this was in 2017. The average NFL salary in 2017 was $2.7 million. Average salary for every player in the 2022 season. Quarterbacks are due to make an average of over $7 million. Next closest competitor, wide receivers, $2.8 million. Top 10 quarterbacks average $49.4 million. $24.8 million average for the top 10 wide receivers. Special teams average guy makes $2.775 million. Running backs, second lowest spot. Average running back, $2 million. And again, that sounds like a lot to you. Lop off 40%, 50% for taxes. Another 10% for the agent. And again, some of these guys are making endorsement money too. Again, I'm not trying to make it sound like these guys don't make money. But when you start thinking about it, and let's just say the average player take home at the running back position maybe makes $6 or $7 million for their entire career, and then they're 32 or 33 and it's over. And you've got to figure out what you're doing for the rest of your life. Well, they went to college. Yeah. Liberal arts. Painting classes. I mean, a lot of these guys, basket weaving. Thank you. That was the one I was looking for. They're not going to school like Charles. Taking like real classes and stuff. Not having somebody do their homework for them like these guys. I mean, you're 32, 33, fine. You've made $6 or $7 million. You can't live the rest of your life on that much money. It's hard to do, considering you're probably spending money when you get into the league. You don't realize that it's all going to be over in 5 or 6 years. And they've got to figure out a solution now for guys like Bijan Robinson so that in 4 or 5 years, he's not faced with a situation like you're seeing with Jonathan Taylor, like you've seen with Dalvin Cook. These guys that are, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 years old, who've got to take haircuts just to stay in the league. The days of the big running back contracts, they're done. And, this happens all the time. I don't care if you're talking about sports, your favorite restaurant, think about politics. When something gets taken away, you're not getting it back. If a right gets taken away, you're not getting it back. If an item, if you go to a restaurant and you're seeing shrinkflation right now, where it feels like your portions are getting smaller, but the price of everything on the menu is going up, I got news for you. No matter how the economy improves, the prices aren't coming back down. Look at gas. Oh my God, all these terrible things and gas prices go up. Well, then the price of oil comes down and the gas is still too damn expensive. The prices aren't coming down. Well, airlines are making all this money. How much is an airline ticket today? You're not getting that money back. The prices just keep going up and up and up. And for NFL running backs, the prices have come down now. The amount of money they're getting has come down. It's not going back up because owners have figured out they can recycle these guys after 5 years. They could just cycle them in and out. You got 5 years to kill it as a running back in the NFL and hope that your body doesn't give out and your numbers are so good that they're going to give you some type of extension, or you're a Christian McCaffrey and you're so invaluable, you're such a Swiss Army knife that they're going to hang on to you. But for the most part, It's a big problem. Daniel Jones tonight, by the way, for the Giants, 8 of 9, 69 yards, a touchdown. He also ran it for 6 yards. 10-play, 75-yard drive in the first series of the game. Then they took him out against Carolina. But if you're a Giants fan, that is encouraging. I still can't believe the Giants are listed at 7.5. 7.5 for a win total on FanDuel. That is just mind-boggling to me, the lack of respect the Giants are getting right now. All right, let's switch gears. Our weekly NASCAR spot with our friend Jerry Bonkowski. NASCAR.com, among other outlets. We'll get some thoughts with him. Chase Elliott's running out of races. Is he going to be in the postseason, or will he be watching like you and me? It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Stay with us. Right at the end of that, yep. It's exactly what it sounded like. Thank you. I was getting ready to... Thank you for noticing, though. You're that guy. See like a stain on somebody's shirt and you're like, ha ha, look at this. Look at that funny thing on your shirt. Mm-hmm. Yep, there it is. Yep. Darren Waller, 3 catches, 30 yards. That's a big one for the Giants. If that dude shows up, it's a huge weapon for them offensively. Dude, I'm looking outside right now, and there's an old saying, red at night, sailors delight. Red at morn, sailors be warned. The sky has this weird orange tinge to it that you never see here. Like you could already start to see some of the clouds coming up. I drove through downtown Palm Springs tonight on my way to come back here to do the show. It was a ghost town. Like, people are like, fuck this. We're out of here. Yeah. People are taking it very seriously here, thankfully. No. Where am I going to go? No, there's nowhere to go. I'm staying, riding it out, man. It's not like we've got, the only thing I'm worried about is flooding, and I'd rather be here if it does start flooding, so at least I could take action. It's not like the kind of flooding that I'm going to drown in my apartment or something. I got to worry about that. It's just a giant desert. We're not close enough. Well, actually, we are pretty close to a mountain. I didn't even think of that. But we should be all right. I'm confident we'll be okay. I'm not going to drown under a mountain of mud. All right, let's get Jerry on the line.
The Google subscriber you have called is not...
Always dial the wrong number.
One second.
Yep.
Okay, I'm good.
What's going on, my man?
I have my mask on, so I have to take it off. Oh, but
I think we'll be all right. We're coming back. Hold on.
okay.
Good to have you with us tonight. SportsMap Radio. SportsMap Radio app. I was just lamenting our massive storm that's coming, this tropical, well, it's a hurricane now. It'll be a tropical storm by the time it gets to us here in Palm Springs. But we're getting ready for it, man. Big storm coming. These ominous clouds are already starting to roll in to Palm Springs, which is so bizarre because there are no clouds in Palm Springs. It's always sunny here. It's sunny till like 8:30 every night. And you could just see it's got like this orangey hint, like hue to it. It's bizarre. Jerry Bonkowski is our good friend. Stops by the show every Friday to give us his insights on the world of auto racing. He's with NASCAR.com, Auto Week, Auto Racing Digest.com as well. I start with Chase Elliott every week, and I'm going to be consistent. He was damn close last week. McDowell gets the win at the Brickyard 200, but boy, oh boy, Chase Elliott certainly had his opportunity, didn't he?
He certainly did, and I'm going to come out right off the bat. I'm going to say Chase Elliott wins this weekend in Watkins Glen. There we go.
You've said that so many times, though. You know I love you, but you've said it so many times.
Yeah, but I'm convinced it's going to happen this week because he only has one other chance next week at the Daytona. He's not a good racer over at Daytona, so I think that if he's going to do it, it has to be this week, and I think he's got a really good chance. I mean, he is a good road course racer, all things considered, and he obviously showed that last week, he's finishing second to McDowell. But I just think that, he's not going to have a waiver, so he can forget that.
How do you know? Is there anything, I mean, is there any sort of history or precedent that tells us he will not get a waiver definitively?
NASCAR has to say that he can get a waiver, and they have not said one word about it. They have not had a peep about it. So, I mean, remember, he missed 6 races, and it's a lot different than the situation with Kyle Busch had back in 2015, I think it was.
Yeah.
Where he missed 11 races because he crashed during an Xfinity race in the first weekend at Daytona, and he missed 11 races before he came back, and he winds up winning the championship in the same year. So that was a situation where, they were going to grant him a waiver. They did, and he wound up winning the whole thing, the whole shebang. I don't see NASCAR giving Chase Elliott a waiver. I mean, he's the most popular driver, all that kind of stuff. But I just don't see him getting a waiver. There's been really no talk about it. Everybody's been saying,
Can I stop you and play devil's advocate here for a second? And I'm not trying to be a contrarian or a wise guy, but let me play devil's advocate here. Are they really going to want to mention it? Because if they make any sort of hint or start to give the sense that they're going to give him the waiver, then it makes the last couple of races kind of meaningless for him because he knows he's going to get in. Would they really say anything anyway?
That's a good point, and you're right. I mean, there's been no comments from NASCAR about a waiver, and if they were going to give it to him, you might want to say it early because then he and his team can prepare differently. But you're right. I mean, playing devil's advocate, you really can't say anything about it until you reach a situation where they almost have to do it or they don't have to do it. And I'm still of the mindset that they're not going to do it. He has to race his way in. He has to win, either at the Watkins or Daytona. And I think Watkins is the place he'll do it. So then all the hyperbole, all the question marks, eventually, they become moot a moot point because then he winds up, racing his way in. So you're right about that. I mean, but I just, this is NASCAR. They have gone several times where drivers, like Tony Stewart, he wins the championship in 2013, I think it was, or 14, and he misses the chase or the playoffs the next year. Jeff Gordon had a similar situation as well too. They did not give those guys waivers. So they made a precedent when they gave the waiver to Kyle Busch. I just don't see him doing it this time, though.
How cool was the story of Michael McDowell last week? For people who didn't see it, I think his like little daughter came up and before the race and basically predicted he was going to win, and then he goes out and wins the race.
Yeah, Michael McDowell. I mean, he is one of the best guys in this sport. I mean, I don't know him that well. I mean, I've interviewed him a number of times, but he just seems like he's the kind of guy who's happy to be where he's at. He's got a good team behind him, and the one thing is he is one heck of a road course racer. So much like Buescher did winning 2 races in a row a few weeks back, I would not be surprised to see Michael McDowell win again this weekend at Watkins. But again, I'm going with Chase. I think Chase is going to do it because Chase has to do it. So I mean, he's got 2 chances left. I think he's going to do it. But I think McDowell is going to have his name up there. I guarantee McDowell will get the top 5 finish this weekend at Watkins Glen. The biggest problem though is, and so far it doesn't seem to be an issue, but it could be, is weather. I mean, weather around Watkins Glen is so unpredictable. I've been there a couple of times, and literally like you're talking about in Palm Springs, you can have 85 degrees, sun shining, no problem at all. An hour later, you've got a torrential, deluge coming down. So, and you really can't plan for that. And if you do plan for it, you're going to have rain tires regardless. If you're going to race there, and unless there's lightning, then of course NASCAR has to say, well, we're going to have to race maybe tomorrow. So, I think that weather will not be a factor, hopefully, but if it is a factor, then NASCAR will have to plan accordingly. And but Michael McDowell, I think, is going to be in the mix. I think that what he did is it's not only got him in the playoffs, but I mean, just gave his team so much confidence that if he has won, he can do it again.
Does it almost feel like, I hate to say it this way, does it almost feel like a waste when you see these road course drivers, guys that are synonymous with road course victories and road course success, that they wind up getting a berth in the playoffs when when we get down to it in the playoffs, their chances of going anywhere, because they are so specific and so niche in that road course sort of environment, that the spot's almost kind of wasted?
No, I don't think so, because I mean, you look at some of the guys, the special ones that have been around for a long time, early in their careers. I'll mention a few names: Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott. There's another way to mention him too as well. Early in their career, they were horrible on road courses. Road course was like a curse to them. And then because road course racing became so prominent. I mean, we only had 2 races there for a number of years, and now all of a sudden we wound up having 6, 7 a year. You were almost forced to become a good road course driver, and that's what a lot of these guys went out and did. I mean, they went and took their negativity or their negative approach about road course racing, where they just want to get there, get done, and go. They want to, they embraced the road course racing, and they became good at it. So it doesn't surprise me to see some of these guys, doing well, because they've done well in the past. But you're right. I mean, in the playoffs, you've got to be an all-purpose driver. You've got to be an all-purpose winner. So even though you may not have that many road course races in the playoffs as you do in the regular season, still you have that advantage, if you will. So it's definitely an important thing to be a good road course driver. It's important to be a good overall driver, more importantly, though. I mean, no matter if it's a road course, a short track, a medium-sized track, a long track, you got to be on your game, and that's going to be very difficult. It's going to be interesting to see how the playoffs are this year, for sure.
Jerry, tell me something. Austin Hill gets a contract extension with RCR, and this is one of the bright up and coming stars. We know what he's done on the Xfinity in the Xfinity series. When do you think we'll see somebody like that at the top level?
Oh man, that's a tough question, because there's just so many guys out there that they're looking for their opportunity. I mean, I hate to bring up his name, but one of the guys that I thought was one of the biggest and brightest stars is Noah Gragson, and look what happened to him. With this whole meme thing that he did, and then the fallout on with him. I mean, there are a lot of young drivers out there, and I'll say this, specifically to your question, we're going to be losing a lot of good drivers here in the next few years. Kevin Harvick retires at the end of this season. Martin Truex Jr., I'm really shocked he's coming back for another year. I thought for sure this was going to be it, but he's going to come back for next year. Eric Almirola, I'm not even sure if he's even decided he's going to come back or if he's gone as well. So we've got a lot of good drivers that are going to be leaving the sport if they haven't already planned to leave by the end of this year. So there's going to be a lot of openings. Probably this might be the most openings we've seen for Xfinity drivers over the next year or 2 years as we've seen probably in the last 20 years, So I think that there's if you're an Xfinity driver or even if you're a good truck driver, Haley Deegan, I'll throw her name out. She's not had the success that I think a lot of people have had on her, or thought about her. I think that she, is in a situation where she's very good. She's very popular.
Yeah.
She just hasn't had that success she's had. But here we go. She can do it.
I got to run. I'm up against a hard break, but thank you. I'll be watching this weekend, barring we don't lose power. Chase Elliott, the pick from Jerry Bonkowski. I'll talk to you next week, Jerry.
All right, my friend. Thanks very much.
Perfect, Jerry. Thank you.
Okay, sure. You stay safe out there, okay?
Yeah, I'm looking outside right now, and it's crazy. This thing's not supposed to really start getting here till tomorrow afternoon, but I'm already seeing flashes of lightning in the distance and stuff. Like, this is crazy. Like, the sky is orange. It's so bizarre. This stuff doesn't happen here, so we're all like freaking out right now.
I would imagine everybody's running to the grocery store to getting all the milk and water and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. We're bracing for the worst and hoping for the best. But I'll keep you posted. I'll be watching this weekend. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Take care.
See ya. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Just staring out my window, watching flashes of lightning. We're done. It's the apocalypse coming to Palm Springs, California. It's good to have you all with us on this Friday edition of the show. We will be off on Monday. I had already scheduled the day off on Monday, and who knows, we might really need that day off on Monday, depending on how bad this storm hits us this weekend. So we're hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. By the way, you haven't heard New York all week. That's because the Yankees haven't won all week. Unbelievable. Beaten by the Red Sox tonight, 8-3. Last night on the show, we were like, hey, maybe the rivalry will get them going. Maybe the rivalry series against the Red Sox, that'll be the thing that gets the Yankees going. They were down 7-0 in the third tonight. It's every time I think it can't get worse, it's getting worse. Lone bright spot for the Yankees. I need something right now to feel good about myself.
Falling to a game out. There's a high fly. Aaron Judge to right field. It's deep. Back at the wall. Verdugo. It's gone. Judge has hovered at Yankee Stadium for the first time since May 28th. Despite the lopsided score, a lot of these fans that came tonight have stuck around. In some ways, just got their money's worth as Aaron Judge hits a home run near the judge's chambers in right.
No, they did not get their money's worth. They lost. Stop telling. Oh, my God. Stop treating fans like they're idiots. I'm so tired of announcers treating sports fans like they're idiots. Yeah, you got your money's worth. Your team lost 8-3. They lost like 6 in a row. But hey, you got your money's worth because Aaron Judge hit a meaningless 2-run home run in a no leverage situation. You've heard of high leverage? This is no leverage. Tell what kind of mood I'm in right now, right? I'm a little salty. Yeah, I'm salty. I am salty. Can I tell you? I don't know. Maybe some people disagree with me on this, and if you do, we actually have a telephone number and a text line. I've yet to mention it tonight. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004 is the call-in number. The text line is 888-670-8549. 888-670-8549 if you want to text from anywhere in America. Charles, will you watch Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp on Mondays and Tuesdays on First Take on ESPN? Is that going to make you? Do you typically watch First Take? Will this make you watch? See, I'm with you. Thank you for, and I didn't ask you this beforehand, so I'm not like, this wasn't a setup or anything like that. Just so the audience knows, I just asked you that for the first time on the air because I was curious to get the reaction of, a younger sort of typical sports. I don't think people care that Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith are going to debate each other on Mondays and Tuesdays and yell at each other. And I don't think people care. I really don't. And I think ESPN is in for a really rude awakening. Unless the expectations and the ratings expectations are so low, unless they're so low that even the slightest bump is going to give them warm fuzzies over in Bristol. Yes, I did just say warm fuzzies. I just don't get it. I really don't. I am not fascinated in the least by watching Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp go at it. In fact, it was more entertaining to watch Shannon Sharp scream at Skip Bayless than it will be to watch him go toe-to-toe with Stephen A. Smith. First of all, Stephen A. Smith doesn't know anything outside of basketball. He likes to pretend he does. ESPN likes to pretend he does, but the guy's a boob. outside of talking about the NBA, where he made his bones, where he's got his contacts, where he's, I respect what the guy has to say about the NBA. Anything else, though? You know what it sounds like to me? The teacher in Charlie Brown. And quite honestly, when they get the wrong guys, and by the wrong guys, I mean the right guys, when they get the wrong guys on with him to talk basketball on First Take, he looks the fool. When they put like former NBA players who are recently retired on there with him and he says something stupid and they call him out, that's the most entertaining thing that happens on First Take. And here's the thing. When it starts to get to the point, this happened with a very famous sports radio host in New York named Mike Francesa, who was a legend. He was a legend in the New York sports radio world. And frankly, he was one of the first real, titans of sports radio, really anywhere in the country. And it got to the point at the end of his career where people listened to Mike Francesa's show on WFAN at the end of his career just to hear how bad it was, just to hear crank callers come in and disguise their voices and then, fart into the microphone or say, "Hey, Baba Booey," or something like that. That's how bad it was. And it almost feels like we're not there yet, but it feels like we're not too many years away from the time where we're really just watching to see how bad First Take will get or Undisputed will get, that all these debate shows. There's cycles in media. We're in that debate show cycle in media. Eventually, this too will pass. I'm convinced of it. Dave in Connecticut's only got a few minutes here if he wants to hop on now. Go ahead, Dave. Dave, you there? Yeah, what's up? Yep. Since wait. You're saying how much the ratings have gone up since what? Oh, I think all these sports networks in general are seeing a decline because of streaming. I think all of them are. That's why NBC got rid of NBC Sports Network. It just wasn't viable anymore, so they put everything on Peacock. The funny part is Fox Sports is actually carried in more homes than ESPN. It's actually on in more homes. I shouldn't say that. It's carried by more cable providers than ESPN, but it gets lower ratings than ESPN. But they're making money. Otherwise, they wouldn't still be doing it. Yep. Skip Bayless. A bunch of guys. Chris Broussard, Skip Bayless, a whole bunch of guys. Oh, God. Yeah, I remember Jonathan Coachman. Yep. No. I mean, look, the reality is, and I appreciate the call, they are still the worldwide leader in sports because they have all the play-by-play rights deals. That's the reality. As long as ESPN has all the play-by-play deals that they have, they're still going to be the go-to place. Now, I don't know if people are watching anything on ESPN outside of that and the 30 for 30s, but for the time being, still ESPN's world. We're coming back.
But just small deviations in the hurricane's track could change the forecast for the most intense rain and wind. And at 11, Jim Acosta will have the latest forecast in just a few minutes. But that's it for me here on CNN Prime.
Whoops.
I'll be the judge of that.
Searchable, verified reviews.
That's better than the ham, and I've never said that.
Booking.com, booking.
Yeah.
Rain all day. You can't count on the weather, but you can count on Dish and our reliability guarantee. Should you ever lose signal, contact us and we'll credit back your account.
Hey Dylan, I want your dad to go out and help you practice your sliding.
We'll be outside.
You're a good dad.
Reliability guarantee, only from Dish. Tuned into you.
When the world of business is constantly changing, you need to stay ahead. So what about AI to generate new possibilities? Machine learning to predict what customers will like. Or expand your business by forecasting delivery routes with real-time data. With the most AWS can transform your business.
We will no longer be prisoners to you, Winter. We shall fly south to where the courts are eternally bright, and we will do so with
Crazy lightning outside. No rain, just a lot of lightning.
we're here to answer.
Instability around the world. Market disruptions. Today, we face challenges never seen before. But the solution has never been clearer. Out here, an answer for a more stable.
Gunnar Henderson tonight, 3 for 3 with his 20th home run of the year for the Orioles.
When you drive a Ram, summer is more than a season. It's an opportunity to load up on more toys, to stop looking for fun and be the one who brings it, and to make every day
Could it get so bad that the Yankees fire Aaron Boone?
this summer. You drive America's best light-duty pickup.
I know I'm rooting for a guy to lose his job, but I'm just wondering if it gets that bad, would they pull the trigger?
1,500 trucks.
I find it funny when people think they can define me.
Because I'm more than just one me.
There's the one that loves to escape into new worlds.
There's one that likes to laugh.
Wild side. I need to fly everything.
Nah, me neither.
Timo's air conditioning and heating has served generations of desert families for over 20 years. Call today and discover the Timo's difference for yourself.
Say that again? I don't know. I'm not sure. Is he? Rachel Nichols. Jesus. That thing is headed south in a hurry. Yeah, that show's on its last leg. Another hour of the show starts right now on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Good to have you all with us. See the story about Giants manager Gabe Kapler was suspended by Major League Baseball for not abiding. So the story as it goes, Gabe Kapler was suspended for not abiding by the leave the dugout part of his ejection. So Tuesday, Chad Whitson ejected Gabe Kapler for arguing balls and strikes. Giants won the game, 7-0, by the way. And Kapler got turned out, got thrown out. And while there wasn't any real video footage of it, Kapler apparently came back to the dugout afterwards. And according to NBC Sports Bay Area's Alex Pavlovic, he notes Kapler said postgame that he watched later portions of the game from the batting cage, which is right behind the dugout. And that was enough for Major League Baseball to say, yeah, you're done. So they suspended Gabe Kapler for one game, fined him an undisclosed amount for not leaving the dugout. He didn't do the old Bobby Valentine, which if people have never seen it, it's one of the great ruses of all time. Bobby Valentine was manager of the Mets, got thrown out of a game. This must have been late 90s, I don't know, 2000. And Bobby V gets thrown out of the game, and he comes back into the dugout with a old Groucho Marx mustache and glasses and just sits in the dugout. And he had to have known that people knew it was him, but he didn't care. I'm sure he got in trouble by Major League Baseball. I don't remember what the exact consequences were, but it was great. I'll always credit Bobby Valentine to this day, because you know what Bobby Valentine did? I believe it was 2013. He was on a show with me when I was with NBC Sports Radio. And in 2013, 10 years ago, Bobby Valentine said, roughly 10 years ago, he said, we're going to get to a point with an automated strike zone. And people laughed at him. This made headlines. Like the interview I did with him, that portion of it was played in the media and made headlines and it got around. And people were laughing at Bobby Valentine. He's out of his mind. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The old man's he's gone cuckoo. And now we're basically at the point of an automated strike zone. And people are screaming for the automated strike zone. Bobby Valentine was brave enough to say it a while ago, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. He did say it. PGA Tour's BMW Championship. I haven't talked about this at all this week because outside of the four majors, I just don't think a lot of people care. But just so you know, because we love to talk about sports betting on the show, Max Homa shot a course record 62 today at Olympia Fields, just outside Chicago. And Max Homa is your leader halfway through the BMW Championship, the penultimate event in the PGA Tour Tour Championship next week. And Max Homa 10 under after an 8 under round of 62 today. That would be 27 shots better than what I shot today. Chris Kirk is 2 off the lead at 8 under. Brian Harmon, who won the Open Championship, he's at -7. Matt Fitzpatrick at -7. Rory McIlroy is 5 shots back. He is at 5 under. He's 5 off the lead after a round of 70 today. On a day where guys were going low, Rory struggled. Only finished at 7 under par. If you're wondering about it from the betting perspective, of course you are. If you're listening to this show, Max Homa is the favorite right now at +180 to win the BMW Championship. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole at +180 because how do I say this without sounding so crass? Let's just say he shot it today. He shot his shot today. How's that? I could say that. I don't need to censor that. Max Homa shot a 62 today. What are the chances he comes back tomorrow and shoots something anywhere close to that? He's only got a 2-shot lead. Next best odds after Max Homa, though, the guy that's 5 shots off the lead that we just talked about, Rory McIlroy. Scotty Scheffler is at plus 750. Scheffler is also 5 shots back. All these guys that are 5 shots back that Vegas is trying to lure you into betting on. I'm Matt Fitzpatrick. 3 shots off the pace. You could get Matt Fitzpatrick right now at plus 1,000. Chris Kirk, who's second place, solo second, 2 shots back. You can get him at plus 1,000. Brian Harman, who does nothing but play well on really tough courses, which Olympia Fields is. Brian Harman, plus 1,000. You've got major winners that you could get at 4 figures right now. 100 to win 1,000, 10 to win 100. How do you not take a flyer on Matt Fitzpatrick or Brian Harman? It'd certainly, I think, be crazy not to at least give it a thought. Coming up in this hour, 25 minutes from now, 2 nights ago, I had the opportunity to talk about all things Major League Baseball umpiring with former Major League umpire Dale Scott. He's the author, along with Rob Nyer, of the book, The Umpire is Out. And we will replay that conversation for those that may have missed it on Wednesday. Coming up about 23 minutes from now, you'll get to hear that conversation where we really do a deep dive into the state of umpiring in Major League Baseball and how it could potentially be changing in the years to come, along with some of the criticisms and the pushback to those criticisms from former Major League Baseball umpire Dale Scott, who retired from the game in 2017 after 32 years umpiring in Major League Baseball. It's remarkable. As much as I've kind of been half joking about the bad weather that is predicted to hit Palm Springs over the next 24 to 48 hours, folks in Maui are still just picking up the pieces, just starting to pick up the pieces from the disastrous fires that came along with some storms there and really just destroyed Maui. Just terrible. Absolutely terrible. Well, there are going to be a number of different efforts to raise money for the rebuilding of Maui and trying to raise money for the victims of these Maui fires. Bill Self is going to return to Champaign, Illinois, this time to help raise money for the victims of the Maui fires. He has not coached a game in Champaign since he left Illinois for Kansas in 2003. He will be leading the Jayhawks, who are, well, right now they're the number 1 team in ESPN's way too early top 25 rankings, for whatever that's worth, against the Fighting Illini. The 2 schools made the announcement on Friday. It'll be held at the State Farm Center on October 29th. It'll air on the Big Ten Network, with the proceeds going towards Maui Strong Fund. The NCAA allows teams to play exhibitions for charity with a waiver. The 2 schools had originally planned to hold a closed scrimmage before the season, but decided to turn it into a public exhibition to raise money for Maui. So far, officials have confirmed that 111 people have died, with hundreds still missing. And we still don't even, I think we're just scratching the surface when it comes to the gravity of the tragedy that's taken place in Maui. So it's great to see it, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this. I hope this is one of those instances where sports can help to provide some relief. Sports can help to provide some comfort. Sports can help to provide some much needed resources, money, whatever it may be, to try and help these people that have just lost so much. A lot of people don't remember Bill Self left Illinois 20 years ago. And he's won 2 national titles at Kansas. Went there after Roy Williams left for North Carolina. Illinois hired Bruce Weber. This is great though. Seriously, if you have a chance to donate in any way, I keep saying this every night on the show, and I will continue to say it. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer and bring people down as we do this every night, but there's life outside of sports. There's other things going on. And if you have the means and you have the ability to chip in for some of these fair charities and some of these people that are doing great things to try and help folks in Maui, please extend a helping hand and do it if you get a chance. All right. We'll come back on the other side. We'll come back on the other side. I talked a little bit about the good side of golf today with the BMW Championship. This Phil Mickelson story is just bonkers. We'll get to it next. Stay with us. All right. Good to have you with us tonight. SportsMap Radio. SportsMap Radio app. Oh, man, the Phil Mickelson story just gets crazier and crazier. Coming up in 15 minutes, Dale Scott, former Major League Baseball umpire, my conversation with him. We really did a deep dive into the state of umpiring in Major League Baseball, where every time you turn around, look on social media, somebody's complaining about the strike zone. They're complaining about Angel Hernandez or any of these guys, and there's got to be a breaking point somewhere for baseball. We'll talk about it with Dale Scott, former Major League Baseball umpire. In fact, we already did talk to him about it. You'll hear that conversation coming up in about 15 minutes here on the show. The phone number, if you want to be a part of the show, 1-800-224-2004 from anywhere in America, 800-224-2004. You can text us, 888-670-8549, 888-670-8549. You can watch us right now over on X, formerly known as Twitter, at the back page. You can watch us on Twitch, Jason Page 77, if you're a Twitch user. Facebook and YouTube, just search for The Cash In with Jason Page. Before I get to the Mickelson story, Gunnar Henderson, home run number 20 tonight for Gunnar Henderson. Home run number 20. Orioles lead the A's 9-2. By the way, the A's are 34-87 on the year. If you're wondering how bad it could get, it's still really bad. Let's see here. Gunnar Henderson now with that has 20 home runs on the year, and he's up to 59 runs driven in. And with the injury to Josh Young in Texas, there's a lot of people that are looking at Gunnar Henderson as the guy that could wind up winning Rookie of the Year honors. I don't see any odds listed on it, though. I just went and looked. Yeah, I don't see any. Let's see. Oh, here we go. American League Rookie of the Year. No, I found it now. Gunnar is the favorite at -175. Tristan Cassis, who has really had a hell of a second half for the Red Sox. Tristan Cassis, and Dave in Connecticut, who likes to call into the show, actually has talked about him some. Tristan Cassis is +360. Masataka Yoshida is +360. And my hunch is they're going to hurt each other. They're going to split the vote. And Gunnar Henderson's going to wind up being your American League Rookie of the Year. And the shame of it is, Josh Young had that thing sewn up before he fractured his hand or his thumb or something like that. And now Josh Young is +4,500. So it's pretty much Gunnar Henderson's to win. In the National League, there is no doubt it will be Corbin Carroll, who is -2,000 to win, meaning you would have to wager $2,000 just to win $100 on Corbin Carroll. That's how much of a lock it is. Kodai Senga for the Mets is +1,900. Matt McLean is +1,000. While I'm at it, National League Cy Young right now, Zach Gallen is +150. Blake Snell is +210. That's what we got on the Cy Young. American League Cy Young, Garrett Cole, barring something unforeseen over the last, next 6 weeks, Garrett Cole's going to win his first Cy Young award. I think there's a lot of people that would agree he's pretty much the best pitcher to never win one. Cole is -400. Kevin Gausman is +550. Framber Valdez is +1,800. So that's what you got as far as the National League and American League Cy Young awards are. They don't even list AL MVP, but for National League right now, it's Ronald Acuna Jr. at -550 to win the National League MVP. Freddie Freeman is +400. And after that, it's a huge drop-off to everybody else. They're not even bothering with the American League MVP anymore. They've just said it's done. It's a wrap. We don't need to put anybody else up there. All right. This Phil Mickelson story is just bonkers. Another excerpt from noted gambler Billy Walters wrote, "Gambler, Secrets from a Life at Risk." And the latest story to come out this week on Mickelson is not one that he's going to like hearing about. This author, Billy Walters, claims that Phil Mickelson laundered money through a stockbroker to pay his gambling debts but wound up escaping prosecution. Billy Walters wrote that Mickelson turned to stockbroker Gregory Silvera to assist with the transfer. The excerpt was released Thursday on Fire Pit Collective. Quote, Mickelson wanted to transfer several $1 million to Silvera and then have Silvera wire it from his personal bank account to the offshore book to pay off Phil's gambling losses. Unfortunately for Silvera, he said yes. The wire transfer got the attention of the IRS, at least their criminal division. But Walters wrote that Mickelson tapped into powerful people he knew in Washington, D.C. Attorney Gregory Craig. Craig knew all the right people, including former U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch and the Director of Enforcement at the Securities and Exchange Commission. Walters went to prison in 2017 following a conviction on 10 counts of conspiracy, securities fraud, and wire fraud related to ill-gotten gains trading Dean Foods stock. Walters shared insider information around some of those trades with Mickelson, who made multiple stock transactions that earned him almost $1 million and was forced by the SEC to repay that $1 million. But you notice Mickelson never went to prison. Never even charged. Walters wrote in the book, with Mickelson in the midst of a money laundering investigation and a target of an insider trading investigation, what did super lawyer Craig do to get the prosecutors off Phil's back? He performed a legal trick so improbable that it was like Harry Houdini pulling a rabbit out of a hat while in chains underwater, Walters wrote. Mickelson settled the case without admitting or denying the allegations. He's just such a shady piece of crap. He really is. And Mickelson made this whole thing, and the media was all but willing to help him do it. This facade of, oh, he's such a good guy. He's Arnold Palmer to Tiger's Jack Nicklaus. He's the good guy. The everyman, while Tiger's just the machine who's out there to try and win majors. Phil's so nice to the fans. Such a good guy. Walters wrote, Phil was off the hook on the money laundering case. The only person who ended up looking guilty was me. This is on the heels of Walters last week revealing that Mickelson, a six-time major winner, had bet $1 billion on sports over 30 years, and that he wanted to place a $400,000 bet on Tiger Woods at the Ryder Cup, but was dissuaded from doing so. He's it's why I say this all the time about professional athletes. The Brett Favre thing, I think, was the real thing that turned me on to this. You get peepholes into the private lives. You get peepholes into who your favorite professional athletes are. Make a tiny hole using your thumb and your index finger. Tiny hole. And look through that. How much do you see? Not a lot. You just get little pieces. You miss out the whole rest of the puzzle. And we all think we know these professional athletes, and we fall in love, and we buy their trading cards, and we get their autographs, and we sit down on a Sunday and watch them, and we think we know them, and they're our friends, and they're such great people, and they're just like you and me, until they're not. That's why I say this all the time. Enjoy sports for the entertainment value, because it is entertaining. Go any deeper than that, and you do so at your own peril. There's a whole bunch of people right now holding on to a ton of Wander Franco rookie cards, autographed photos, autographed baseballs, autographed everything. Thought they knew who Wander Franco was. The next big thing in baseball. Might never play another game again. He's 22 years old. Stop thinking you know these guys. You don't. All you got are peepholes. Little tiny windows. Dale Scott, former Major League Baseball umpire. We're talking baseball umpiring with him on the cash-in next.
Put an awful lot of water in places where people live. This just isn't a desert system. So 130 mile per hour storm, the latest advisory, the 11 o'clock advisory, just out. The Hurricane Hunter aircraft is on the way to make sure to check it out. Also now, what was a tropical storm watch a few hours ago is now turned into a tropical storm warning for Southern California from Point Mugu all the way south, even south of San Diego. To the south of their hurricane warnings because they're going to get hurricane conditions. I don't think we're going to see hurricane conditions in California, but it's going to be pretty close, especially on top of some of these mountain ridges. You could get some hurricane gusts. The big story, I think, is going to be 40 or 50 miles per hour in most locations, but that's not the story with this storm. This storm is still now a Cat 4, barely, but it is, and then it will turn into a Category 1, and then it will turn into only a TS, a tropical storm, as it crosses over into California. So the winds may not be what they are now because of this colder water, but this is still going to carry all of the moisture. It's going to carry all of the humidity of a major hurricane right over this area that will have between possibly 7 and 10 inches of rain. Think about that on top of these mountains. All of that water is going to come down. Think about that on a burn scar. Those are going to be...
Welcome you back to this Thursday edition of the show. I promised him at the top of the hour and bringing him in now. Dan Kaplan does a terrific job on all things.
But it's going to start early. This is moving a little bit faster than I think forecast earlier in the day because we're going to see rain in the morning. In fact, we're already seeing rain now across parts of really Las Vegas. But that's not even part of this yet. The thing is, Jim, this is going to rain for 24 hours.
Good to have you with us tonight. SportsMap Radio. SportsMap Radio app. Also, all of our video streaming platforms. Twitch, Twitter. Well, now it's called X, YouTube, Facebook, all those different places as well. Really excited to talk to this guy. It's been about 6 years since I last did an interview with him. And it was a great conversation I had with him then. Dale Scott, former Major League Baseball umpire, did it for, 32 years? Was it 32 years that you were an umpire?
37 if you count the 5 minor league years.
There you go. See? I count the minor league years. I spent time in the minors. I get it. And Dale Scott is our guest on the show. He's the author of The Umpire is Out. In conjunction, he did that with Rob Nyer. We'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes. But I also wanted to get to with him on the state of play and umpiring in Major League Baseball. You could hear/see Dale on the Apple TV broadcasts of Major League Baseball, the MLB Showcase, where he's sort of providing insight on close calls, that sort of thing during those games. Dale, I'll get right into it. The topic of look, the calls around the base paths now with instant replay, a lot of that has eliminated sort of the angst over those things, home run calls and the like. The one area where there obviously still seems to be a bone of contention is balls and strikes. And we've seen in the minor leagues the move towards automated. Good to have you with us. Good to have you with us tonight. SportsMap Radio. SportsMap Radio app. Good to have you with us tonight. SportsMap Radio, SportsMap Radio app. Also, all of our video streaming platforms, Twitch, Twitter, well, now it's called X, YouTube, Facebook, all those different places as well. Really excited to talk to this guy. It's been about 6 years since I last did an interview with him, and it was a great conversation I had with him then. Dale Scott, former Major League Baseball umpire, did it for, 32 years? Was it 32 years that you were an umpire?
37 if you count the 5 minor league years.
There you go. See? I count the minor league years. I spent time in the minors. I get it. And Dale Scott is our guest on the show. He's the author of The Umpire is Out. In conjunction, he did that with Rob Nyer. We'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes. But I also wanted to get to with him on the state of play and umpiring in Major League Baseball. You could hear/see Dale on the Apple TV broadcasts of Major League Baseball, the MLB Showcase, where he's sort of providing insight on close calls, that sort of thing during those games. Dale, I'll get right into it. The topic of look, the calls around the base paths now with instant replay, a lot of that has eliminated sort of the angst over those things, home run calls and the like. The one area where there obviously still seems to be a bone of contention is balls and strikes. And we've seen in the minor leagues the move towards automated strike zones. We know it's not coming to Major League Baseball next year. It just seems wildly inconsistent. The strike zone just seems wildly inconsistent to me. I know as a former Major League Baseball umpire, it has to be something that sticks in your craw when you hear idiots like me sitting there criticizing, balls and strike calls based on a box that we're seeing on a screen. So I'm just going to throw it to you and say go.
Well, that box on the screen is one of the worst things that's happened to umpires, basically, because the box on the screen is not 100% accurate, but it is gospel to viewers because it's right in front of them, right? First of all, you have a 17-inch plate. That never changes. But your hitters, the high-low part of the zone, changes with each hitter and can change with each pitch. By rule, you determine the high-low part of the strike zone when the hitter is about to attempt to hit or strike the ball. Now that could be a bunt, which his strike zone is going to be much shorter, so to speak,
compressed
than if he's swinging full of ways. And the on-screen strike zone or box cannot in real time do that. In fact, their high-low lines are based on a judgment, or I don't know how to say it, but they have a certain player, John Smith. He is this tall, and his lines are usually right here, and so that's like the template they put for that hitter.
Right, so, like Aaron Judge,
it's close to being accurate.
Well, it's like the Aaron Judge thing. I mean, he gets more calls below the knees, below the strike zone, and they show it from the side a lot of times too. So I have to say, it just seems like a lot of times umpires haven't adjusted to a guy that's as big as Aaron Judge to account for the fact that his knees are a lot higher than a lot of other people's knees.
Well, right. I mean, listen, first of all, humans are not 100%. We never have been, and we never will be. But unfortunately, these automated strike, the ABS system, automated ball and strike system, is when replay came, everybody said, "Oh, good, there'll never be arguments again. You will never have a controversy again," and you have it all the time because there's that catch, no catch, and you see it at one angle and it looks like a catch, and the other angle doesn't look like a catch. You have that bang bang play at first. When did the ball actually enter the glove? When the foot and this and that? And as a fan, you're going to look at it from your heart, and you're going to look at it from what's advantageous for your team. If you have no dog in that hunt and try to be as neutral as possible, even some of those plays in play could go either way from the different angles. So let's put out of this notion that technology is going to make the game perfect. It's not a perfect game. It's not played by perfect players, and it's not umpired by perfect umpires. Now, getting back to the on-screen zone, though, the problem with that is, and I've been watching a lot of games this year because I've been doing this rules analyst thing, is that you'll have a pitch that's, according to on-screen zone is just off the line outside. Strike three. And they go, oh, my God, what was he looking at? That's way outside. Really? Way outside. First of all, you have a ball that's almost 3 inches in diameter. And if it goes over any part of the plate within the zone, the high-low zone, it's a strike. So you could have a 17-inch plate suddenly have almost 3 inches on each side and still be a strike. A lot of people don't understand that. Second of all, I'm not sure how they have this zone set up to where they are counting that. I just don't know how it's set up. Let me tell you something, Jason, I did last year.
Sure.
There was it was St. Louis at the New York Mets. Both teams had their own telecast. St. Louis back to St. Louis, obviously, and the Mets had theirs. And there was a 3-2 pitch with the bases loaded. The Mets were at bat, where on the Mets telecast, the pitch was called a ball 4. On the Mets telecast, it had the ball just above the line, and according to that zone, a correct call. The exact same pitch on the St. Louis telecast had it on the line, which should have been a strike. Exact same pitch. Okay, so and I actually posted the 2 photos of that pitch by the 2 different transmissions or the Cardinals and broadcasts, to illustrate a point that this on-screen zone is not perfect. The network or whoever's broadcasting that game is putting these graphics up, right? So they can be off a little bit.
Is that what Major League Baseball is using? Because we know Major League Baseball grades the umpires. What are they using? Are they using that box? Are they using, or do they have something that is proprietary to them?
Well, let me explain how that works. Now, when it wasn't too long ago, I was working. when I had the plate, I didn't get my results that night. I got it the next day, and the reason that happened was because they had a technician go through and make sure the high-low lines on each hitter on each pitch that the system said I missed, to make sure that those lines were correctly put in there. Again, in a telecast, in real time, you can't do that. It's just impossible to do for someone to do that. So MLB we also have a buffer zone. The buffer zone basically is what I was just talking about, that pitch that the ball, almost the entire ball is off the plate, but just a little bit is over it or whatever. So that gives you that buffer on each end, on each side. Again, I don't know what these telecasts are doing. The other thing is we have what we call a catcher influence. If you have a pitch that's right on the knee, a ball that's trailing, let's say on the outside corner on the knee, trailing, with a lot of movement outside and also down, and the catcher, kind of wipes his glove over and catches it.
Sure.
Technically, it hindered the zone. A human umpire probably isn't going to call that a strike, because nobody, except maybe the pitcher, because he thinks everything is a strike. Nobody really expects that to be a strike, right? Now, you can say, well, if it's in the zone, by God, it should be a strike, and I don't care what anybody says, that's the way it should be. Okay, that's fine. But if you look at umpiring, I've always said there's an art and a science to umpiring. And the science is the nuts and bolts, the rules and that kind of stuff. The art of it is applying those rules to Major League Baseball. For example, by rule, a base coach is supposed to be in the box. All right. Do we enforce that? Rarely do we enforce it, unless the other team is saying, hey, I think he's stealing signs or whatever. Well, then we enforce it for everybody. Everybody stays in the box, right? Well, technically, then we're not doing our job if we're not enforcing it, right? I mean, that's a simple way to describe how you apply the rules to the action on the field.
But it's so important. But
at our level,
I get it. But at the same time, we've seen the statistics, and I want to hold you over for another segment, because I think this is a fascinating conversation, and it does require nuance.
Right.
So that's why I'm glad we have you. But at the same time, the difference between a 2-1 count and a 1-2 count, an opposing hitter's batting average is 130 points higher or 140 points higher than it is with one ball, or it is with 2 strikes than it is with 1 strike. It matters. It's so important. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, how do we get it to a point? Do we need a challenge system? I mean, would you be in favor of a challenge system more so than just an automated zone? Hold that thought. I want to come back and get your thoughts on that. Dale Scott is with us. Former Major League Baseball umpire, spent 37 years umpiring professional baseball. He's also the author, along with Rob Nyer, of The Umpire is Out. I want to get to that as well, because he's been all over the place doing book tours on that thing. Dale Scott's hanging out with us. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. All right. And we'll come back and because I would imagine then you'd probably be okay with a challenge system, right?
Yeah, what they're doing in AAA.
Yeah, I'll ask you. Don't answer it now, because I want to have it like fresh.
Yeah.
In the interview. So, we actually drove through Portland. We were just up that way. We went on a cruise. We went on a cruise out of Seattle to Alaska. Just 2 weeks ago. We were just up there. So we drove through Portland. We drove from Palm Springs to Seattle. Dropped off our dog with our friend, and then we went to we went up through Alaska, 7-day cruise, and came back.
How was that?
Oh my God, it was amazing. Have you ever done it?
No, my parents. My parents did it a few years ago.
Do it. So worth it. Do it. It's a lot of fun. And Juneau is one of the hippest, most progressive places. I was shocked how progressive Juneau, Alaska was. I was like, wow.
Really? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I would not have thought that.
Yeah, no. Very progressive. A lot of very, very gay friendly. We had a blast up there. I won a cruise from Agua Caliente.
But that was the cruise?
That was the cruise. I won a cruise. Can't make it up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was pretty wild. Yeah.
What you drove to Seattle? Where'd you stop along the way?
The drive going there, we actually didn't. We did it in. It was supposed to be a 19.5-hour drive with like breaks to grab food and stuff. It wound up being 22. Coming back, we went Seattle to San Francisco. Stopped there overnight, and then finished the rest of it the next day.
Mike and I, when we go down with the dog in October, usually October, it's a straight through.
Yeah.
The fastest I've ever done it was 16 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, my God. With 2 drivers, you can do it.
Yeah.
You could definitely do it with 2 drivers. That was the first time I ever did it with a co-pilot. Usually I've driven cross country, Connecticut to Palm Springs by myself 5 times, just me and the dog.
Yeah.
Fastest I've ever done it is 3.5 days.
Yeah. Well, that I have not done.
Yeah, it's fun. Again, it's something everybody should do once in their life.
I don't mind driving. I mean, it's there's something about it, it's still kind of cathartic or something.
Yeah, no, I love it. I absolutely love it. That's great that you're doing stuff on the MLB broadcasts.
Yeah, they wanted
keeps
us
you,
to,
keeps you busy. It keeps you active. Still keeps you part of the game. I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah. Are you doing anything with umpiring outside of that, teaching or any of that stuff?
Yeah, I had a lot of stuff before the
clinics,
pandemic, but after it's been a little slower. But I do. There's some camps or clinics or I speak at some meetings or whatever. Umpire groups.
Yeah, that's cool. You play any golf?
I don't play golf. I'm not a golfer. My brother is a scratch golfer. I'm not.
Come to Palm Springs, you don't play golf? God.
They say, how can you be in Palm Springs and not golf, for crying out loud?
I don't play enough of it, and I live here. Now with this company, we're just finishing up the first year of doing this particular show, and I have no time. It's just no time. Running your own company, it's just no time. So you don't rent out your place here. You just leave it empty.
No, we're not. It's we have really no interest in doing that.
If you don't have to, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like we rented out our place in Singapore because we're just not there enough, and it's a $1.2 million condo. It's like we got to pay for it. We can't afford not to.
Right.
All right, hold on. We're coming back. All right, spending a few more minutes with Dale Scott. Longtime Major League Baseball umpire, retired in 2017. Author with Rob Nyer of The Umpire is Out. I'll get to a question or two on that before we say goodbye to him. Challenge system for balls and strikes. Like it, don't like it. Pros, cons, go.
Yeah, well, in AAA this year, they're let's say it's a 6-game series. The first 3 games, they'll have the umpires call everything and have a challenge system. In the last 3, they'll have ABS call it, or vice versa, whatever it is. But they're trying out both just a pure ABS system or a challenge system. And I really think baseball's leaning toward a challenge system, and I really think that's probably the wisest thing to do. And here's why. First of all, as a plate umpire, if you're just going pure ABS, all you're doing is going down every pitch with your earpiece and calling whatever they tell you to call. Mm-hmm. And of course, you still have, hit batsmen and foul balls and catcher interference and batter interference, all that stuff. But the problem is, if the ABS system, for whatever reason, glitches that pitch, then the guy says, you got it. And now you have to call it. Well, on a major league level, at the concentration of focus that you need every pitch, it is inhumane to make an umpire focus every pitch when you don't even know you'll ever call one. And just imagine when that does glitch at a 3-2 pitch with the bases loaded in the 9th inning. I mean, all of a sudden you got to call it. That's just not fair. But that's a pure ABS system. The other system is let the umpires umpire. You call pitches like we always have, but the teams have X amount of challenges, and that's a number that they're going to have to figure out what they want to do with that. But the only people that can challenge are the hitter, catcher, or pitcher. And that could change too. But right now, that's the way it is. People are right now on your show are going, challenge, oh my God, video, no, we got to do this again. It's going to slow down the game and all this stuff. Actually, the challenges for pitchers are extremely fast.
Instant. Yeah, I've seen it. I saw it with Jason Dominguez. There was an example shown of it because they were trying to say, wow, look at the eye on Jason Dominguez. During the Arizona Fall League, they used him as an example of he thought a pitch was low. It's almost instant. It's really fast.
It is almost instant, correct.
And he was right.
You still have issues with that. I mean, if you're challenging a 3-2 pitch with runners running and you called ball 4 and now the challenge is strike 3, or anytime, Jason, that you add something to the game like this, so we have it with replay when a guy's just barely off the bag, when they still have the tag on him and it's a cheap out, but it's an out because he's off the bag, right? But the replay system wasn't made for that type of play, but that's something to happen. Unintended consequences happen when you change the game. And so the same thing will be with either pure ABS or a challenge system. But to answer your question, I think challenge system is the best way to go. It's more humane for the plate umpire because he's more into the game and not just waiting for a glitch or whatever. And the challenge system, or the challenge, is so quick that it's not a hardship on the flow of the game or that type of thing. So I think that's what they're going to go to. I don't know that for sure, but I think that's what they're leaning toward.
Let me ask you something. When you see a guy like Aaron Boone, and I use him as the example because he's gotten thrown out of more games this year than any manager in Major League Baseball, and you see him blow up on like Laz Diaz the way he did a week or so ago, you've been in that position. You've bared the brunt of that sort of, fuse being lit and a guy just going off. What's it like in that moment, in that position?
Well, it varies. I mean, sometimes it's much more intense and aggressive than other times it can be. I was thrilled that Lance went right after him. Now, I'll be honest with you, MLB probably had a little talking to Laz. I mean, because we're not supposed to do that. But Aaron has a tendency to pick on some young umpires, right? If some of the newer guys and blow up on him. And, sometimes he has legitimate gripes. I'm not necessarily sure he needs to go to the lengths he does quite often, but that's neither here nor there. I had him as a player, so I had his brother and his dad also. So I understand, and he's an intense guy, and he's these guys are very competitive guys, and so in the heat of the moment, sometimes things snap, but. Sometimes just like a player or a manager where a good old argument and kind of blow your mind a little bit and get ejected is therapy for them. It's a chance for them to release a little bit of the pressures and maybe the team's not going well or whatever. And at times it's also the same for us, because we get frustrated too. You hear the negative all the time, and sometimes a confrontation like that is something that kind of reboots you a little bit. That being said, you just don't see it that often now because we have replay and we have other things going on. When I was working before replay and stuff, and I mean, we had a lot. I mean, we had a lot of arguments and that kind of stuff. Is it better for the game that we don't have it and have replay? I think replay is better for the game, yes. But you see now these blowups aren't necessarily on plays on the bases or anything. It's on pitches and check swings, basically. Is what it turns out to be.
Being joined by Dale Scott, former Major League Baseball umpire, spent 37 years as a professional baseball umpire. Tell me about the Umpires Out. I mean, I know about it, but tell our audience about it. What inspired you to do this? And most of all, you've traveled around the country now, sort of promoting this book that you did with Rob Nyer. Talk about what that experience has been like. You're coming out in 2014, talking about that, the cathartic nature of it, and sort of what the response has been around baseball to this.
Well, the book is a memoir. It's my 37 years in professional baseball. There's a lot of stories and arguments and ejections and things that happen on the field in the book, and some of them, I must say, are pretty funny, quite frankly. But it's also talking about my journey, how I started umpiring when I was 15 in Eugene, Oregon. My journey of into the professional baseball in 1981. My first game in the Northwest League in June of 1981 was literally 2 weeks after the very first reported cases of rare cancers affecting young men in both San Francisco and New York. And of course, we know now that was the start of the AIDS epidemic. But so my career and my started right in the minor leagues, paralleled the AIDS scare, and it was a scare for years. Didn't know, how you got it. You didn't know how it was spread. It suddenly became the gay disease because it was mostly gay people that were affected by it. So when I first started out in baseball, I was out to myself. I knew who I was, but I wanted to make sure baseball didn't know that, because I would never get promoted. I'd never make it to the big leagues. Now, with the AIDS crisis going on, I definitely didn't want anybody to know, because there would be partners that wouldn't want to even work with me. I mean, they would be afraid they could catch AIDS from a towel or a doorknob or something. I mean, that's the mindset of the 80s, early 80s, when this was happening. So the book, talks about how I led a double life. I was at home. I was, I wasn't closeted 24/7. I was, but I didn't work in the cities that I lived in, Portland. And so at home, I was myself and was able to be much more of who I really was. But once I went to my baseball life, I had to play the game and lead a double life. And so it talks about that and how it went full circle to 2014 when I publicly came out. The response has been unbelievable. I went to 8 MLB Pride Nights last year. I went one this year in Tampa. I also have done book signings at bookstores and other things. And the people I've met it's really incredible, Jason. I really didn't anticipate this, but I had a woman in San Francisco when I went to their Pride Day last year. I was doing a book signing, and she was in tears. She said, I she loved to play softball. She was very athletic. She didn't feel like she fit in because she was lying to herself and lying to everybody else. And she was really in despair. And then when I came out in 2014, she said, "Oh my goodness, this guy he's a major league umpire. He's on this huge stage and he's gay. If he can do that, I can do this. And it gave her the courage and the power to step forward and be yourself. I had the same kind of thing in Toronto when I met a gentleman. The same thing. He was a very good athlete, but he was so intertwined with the lies within himself and with the people that he was around that he was in despair. And then he saw me heard the story of me coming out and everything. And he said, my goodness, I can do this. So it's very humbling for me that my journey has such an effect, a positive effect on these people. And I'm thrilled with the response, and the reviews for the book has been great. I did the audiobook earlier this year.
I saw that.
It's been good.
I saw that you had done the audiobook. Dale Scott, catch him on the Apple TV MLB Showcase as well. It's great to catch up with you. I know you said you're going to be back down here in Palm Springs in about 6 weeks. Let's get together and do dinner. Love to have you meet my husband.
Deal, Jason.
We're going to have to make that happen. Dale Scott, always appreciate it, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Final hour of the cash in right around the corner. All sorts of fun stuff to talk about. We'll update you on the latest around Major League Baseball tonight. Marlins looking to end the Dodgers winning streak, which is in double digits. Stick around for that, a whole bunch more. Glad to have you with us on this Friday night. One more hour. Pooch may have to go OUT once more. So the Pooch may have to go OUT once more. Walao eh. Yes.
Makes sense. Old guard, young guard, new guard. I don't have a problem with that. Golden State's going to be competitive. I still think they're a playoff team. But here's the thing. In one NBA game, anything can happen. So the NBA is such a, final hour of a Friday/Saturday edition of the show. Good to have you with us. Hanging out with you. SportsMap Radio, the SportsMap Radio app. Flanked by producer, engineer extraordinaire, the one and only Charles Carter, CC. You got a problem with the Spurs and Warriors being a primetime game on cable during the season? What's your beef, dude? Why are you being a Debbie Downer? Why are you poo-pooing the NBA primetime schedule? Why are you being that guy? What did I say, though? What was my response to that? Yeah, there's definitely an appeal to that kind of. There's definitely an appeal to that kind of matchup with those two teams. The future of the NBA and Wembanyama, the present and sort of dying days of the Warriors empire. And like I said, in one singular NBA game, anybody could win. Regular season NBA basketball, and if you don't know this by now, you don't know anything. NBA regular season basketball is so much different than the playoffs. Guys are just running up and down the floor. They play defense the last 6 minutes of the game. And I'll tell you why I also think there's some appeal to it. And kudos to somebody on this network. I don't know. They all sound the same after a while, but somebody on this network said, was talking about the fact that Victor Wembanyama was sort of poo-pooing the physicality in the NBA. By the way, I'm still playing with these AirPods that the dead person left behind in my apartment. I still haven't been able to get them to work. I'm literally sitting here playing with the case with the dead person's AirPods. But Wembanyama basically said, defense the physicality level is greater in Europe than it is here. And you know what? After he said that, the idea of seeing, Draymond Green try to send a message to that big boy who's got like a foot on him, that's going to be fun. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The kid's going to have a bullseye on his back, and he is a kid. I'm not saying it to be insulting. Do you, by the way, can you tell me something? We did this exercise last night on the show of how many games certain teams have in prime time. How many games do the Kings have in prime time? I can check too. How many games do the Kings have in prime time this season? The Sacramento Kings. Yeah, see, I don't know. Oh, 5. Wow. The Kings. Oh, no. That was last year. Last year they had 5. Oh, here it is. 22 on national TV this year. Last year they got 5. This year the Kings get 22 games on national television. Wow. That's a 17-game jump. I'll guarantee you there's not another team that has that kind of jump from last year to this year. I'll bet anybody, and I haven't even looked. I'll bet anybody. Nobody's had that. Nobody's getting that kind of jump. Maybe the Nuggets.
See, I can't guarantee it. Yeah. Yeah, and last year they didn't get that many. Last year, let's see, how many did they have last year? Last year they had 16. So it's still not as many. It's still not as big a jump. It's a couple less. 16 last year and 30 this year, you said? Yeah. Yeah, and the Kings went from 5 to 22, 17 game jump. So the Kings are still a bigger increase year to year. Sticking with my guns. It's interesting though. Can I tell you, I am so tired of hearing about Zion Williamson's off-season photos. Oh, the workout photos of Zion Williamson. Played 29 games last year. I don't want to hear about Zion Williamson anymore. When he's on the court and he's playing all the time, then we can talk about Zion Williamson. Great. He looks great now. It means nothing until we get to the NBA season. And if he starts eating bonbons and Cinnabon and pretzel twists and sugary sweets with Cajun seasoning on everything. Exactly. Zion Williamson's going to be a top 10 player this year. Just hope he plays 10 games. Come on. That's about right. You almost see him as much. My God. I'll tell you what, the photos I saw, though, he looks like a football player playing basketball. He looks like a football player playing basketball. And I don't know why these guys don't get it. I saw a great article today where Kobe Bryant, somebody saw Kobe, and Kobe predicted that Steph Curry, and this was many, many years ago when Curry was still new in the league, and Kobe said that Curry's going to be one of the all-time greats. And part of the reason he stated for that was the fact that he is thin. He's got a thin build. And I think if you've got too much of this muscle, it restricts what you can do. It restricts your freedom of movement. There is such a thing as being too big. And to me, Zion looks he looks like a superhero in these photos. You know, for everything you want to say about LeBron and the great shape he's in, LeBron's never been jacked. He's cut up. He's in good shape. You could tell that he's, superior in terms of his physical assets, but he's not massive. He's not, I'm sure he could be heavier and stronger if he wants to, but he doesn't. And I think some of these guys are just, Zion looks too big. How about just slimming down? How about just eating a little less? You didn't need to go get all yoked up, man. God, he's massive. Yeah, I mean, he is. He's just. I listen. It's a better league if Zion. I'm all about give me a better league. The NBA is better if Zion Williamson is out there for 70 games this year. I don't need him to play 80 or 82. Give me 65 to 70 games. There you go. Ready? If I set the over under at 62.5 for Zion Williamson this year, number of games he plays in the regular season. Is he going over or under? No, come on, but 62.5.
Well, Clay's got to stop with this. I think we're done with the days of back-to-backs and Clay not playing and stuff like that. I think we're at a point now where you're gonna see more Klay Thompson. Wow, that's a good one. I don't know. That's a good one, though. Zion, the most games he played, 61 in the 2021 season. Played 61 games that year. Averaged 27, 7 rebounds, 3.7 assists, about a steal a game. And he shot 62% from the field. Really? That's the most he's ever played? And you think Kawhi will play more? I say no. I'll take Zion. I think Zion will play more games than Kawhi this year. Yes. I would take that bet. I'll put it up. I'll put it up as a Twitter poll tonight. I'll put it up as a Twitter poll for the weekend. Who will play more games, Zion Williamson or Kawhi Leonard? By the way, a sign that the end times are near for us in Palm Springs. I'm going to tell you what it is coming up in a couple of minutes. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. I'm in Palm Springs, California. That's where I live. And we're gearing up for Hurricane Hillary, soon to be Tropical Storm Hillary, before it hits us. And sign that the end times is near. The first one, like they have like the 7 signs of the apocalypse. The first one has hit. I can tell you what it is on the other side. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Don't go anywhere. I'm going down, down, down. Oh, man. Wow. Latest forecast for Palm Springs, Sunday night. They're talking about somewhere between 7 and 10 inches of rain now for Palm Springs. Fuck. We're so fucked. Babe. Latest forecast for Palm Springs as of 11 p.m. By Sunday at 11 p.m., they're saying 7 to 10 inches of rain. Fucking crazy. Idlewild might be moving to Palm Springs by the time it gets down the mountain. I said Idlewild might be in Palm Springs by the time it gets down the mountain. Yeah. So how do I know the apocalypse is near for us here in Palm Springs with Hurricane Hillary? Tropical Storm Hillary eventually by the time it gets here coming. Palm Springs is trending on Twitter/X. That's how I know. If you're trending on Twitter or X, whatever they call it these days, depending on who you are and what you want to call it, when you're trending on Twitter or X, it is not good. It's usually really bad news. And right now, Palm Springs is trending. Latest forecasts are 7 to 10 inches of rain by Sunday night at 11 p.m. We are so screwed. And we're going to be right on the eastern side of the storm. And they're saying by midnight Sunday into Monday, it's still going to be a tropical storm with winds at 50, sustained winds of 50 miles an hour. And it could dump as much as 7 to 10 inches of rain where we are here in Palm Springs. And again, that doesn't sound like a lot to you, but in the desert, that would be catastrophic here. Oh, you see, I guess there was like some squalls that came through here tonight, and people are freaking out about it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I said that. That's what I said to you earlier. That's what I was talking about. But I love when people post like pictures of it raining in their like, $3 million home with like the lights inside the pool. And you're looking at this somewhere in middle America going, screw you. Seriously, you're sitting there in your $3 million home and you're complaining about rain. I mean, come on. Like, really? Give me a break. I guarantee you there's people looking at it going, yeah, good. You got what's coming to you. Yeah, we're going to be right on the eastern side. So right now they're forecasting the eye of this storm to hit about 30 miles to the west of us in San Bernardino. So we're going to be on the eastern side of the storm. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the side of the storm you do not want to be on. History has shown usually the eastern side of the storm is the dirty side. Oh, man. I forgot that I'm actually really good friends with a noted national meteorologist. I should get him on. Let's talk to him. Find out just how bad it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be pretty gnarly here in Palm Springs this weekend. Keep an eye on my social media platforms. I'll be posting stuff. Maybe I'll be like waist deep in water. Getting everybody ready for it. Problem is, there are like 3 roads that are guaranteed to be closed. If this thing is anywhere near as bad as they're saying, there is a thought that, not even a thought. There are 3 main arteries that get in and out of Palm Springs. They're going to be closed. There will be no getting in and out of Palm Springs. We're going to be stuck here. That's essentially what we're looking at right now. Yep, he leaves tomorrow at noon. And then I'm supposed to go have dinner at a friend's, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to that dinner because I don't know if there's going to be a way for me to get back. If I go over there, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back to my home. And my concern is if there's flooding here and there's nobody here to prevent the water from coming in, what do I do? I can't. I literally just moved in here a week and a half ago. I cannot have this place flooded a week and a half ago after I moved here. Can't do it. I'm freaking out about this. I'm not going to lie. I'm a nervous wreck about this thing. I'm really a nervous wreck about it. Because as bad as they think the storm's going to be, what if it's worse? What if it stalls over this area and it just keeps pouring rain onto this mountain? And the only place for that water on the mountain to go is down into this valley where I live. Nobody can truly predict what's going to happen because it's never happened before. They could give an idea, but nobody could really predict what's going to happen when you have a hurricane or a tropical system dump this kind of rain here because it's never happened. Ever. It's going to be interesting. By the way, coming up in 10 minutes, we'll do NASCAR. Jerry Bonkowski's the 2-for-1 tonight. We'll get some thoughts with him on whether or not Chase Elliott, one, he has to win either this week or next week to get into the playoffs. And if he doesn't, will NASCAR give him the waiver, the exemption into the playoffs based on the fact that he missed 6 races due to injury this year, an injury he caused when he decided to go and do something outside the purview of his deal with NASCAR, where he decided to go skiing and tore up his leg and was out for 6 weeks. And Jerry insists that they're not going to give him a waiver. I'm not 100% convinced of that. We'll hash it out coming up in about 10 minutes here on the show. Xavier Howard is being sued. The Dolphins player is being sued by a woman who claims the NFL star filmed hardcore sex acts with her without her consent. And then he shared them with at least one other person, though the Dolphins player is saying he's going to fight the case. The woman's ID'd as Jane Doe, of course. Made the claims in a lawsuit filed in Florida back in May. In the suit, she alleges she first made contact with Xavier Howard in 2016 over social media direct messaging before the two began dating in 2022. But according to TMZ Sports, a short time later, she claims a woman reached out to her via Instagram concerned she might have been sent a video by Howard that showed Doe having sex with the football player. A woman allegedly told Jane Doe that Howard had shared the footage with her in an attempt to make her mad because she didn't want to have sex with him. Jane Doe claims after viewing the video, she was easily identifiable in it. You just can't do this stuff, man. You can't be having sex on video. I mean, I shouldn't say you can't have sex on video. You can't have sex on video with like boyfriend, girlfriend stuff. I mean, if you're a married couple and you want to make a home movie, knock yourself out. Not saying it's for me, but you want to do that sort of thing, go ahead, have at it. But, yeesh, not a good situation. According to the lawsuit, Jane Doe texted Howard about the situation in September of last year, telling him she had not consented to being filmed. She said in the docs in October, she sent him a cease and desist letter. Yeesh. Sounds very messy. She's now suing Howard for invasion of privacy and intentional infliction of emotional distress. She's asking for damages in excess of $50,000 as well as injunctive relief that would preclude Howard from further disseminating the images. Do you have a girl, Charles? Do you have a girlfriend? Okay. Would you ever make a video? Really? Oh man, that's so risky. Especially as somebody in like, in my position, I've had this is so TMI, but I've had people ask me for like pictures. Oh, send me a nude and I'm like, forget it. Even if it was somebody I was like my husband or something, I would never. People hack into accounts. Just a recipe for disaster. There is no good that can come out of. Yes, I know, but there's just, my point is there's no good that can come out of. There isn't. There's no good. Unless you're trying to become a porn star. And there's no good that can come out of sex on video or pictures of that kind. There's just nothing. No. Yeah, you think you know everybody. No, you can't. You just never know, man. What did we just say about peepholes? All you got are peepholes into people's lives. You think you know somebody? Till they're putting your videos of you and them doing the nasty all over social media or sending it to friends. Jerry Bonkowski is next. Chris Christie really does look like the Penguin. Dude looks like the Penguin. Wah, 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 wah. Good to have you with us tonight. SportsMap Radio. All right. Good to have you with us tonight. SportsMap Radio. SportsMap. Nah. I would be really quick with this considering how late it went. Got it? All right. There are no clouds in Palm Springs. It's always sunny. Good to have you with us tonight. SportsMap Radio. SportsMap Radio app. was just lamenting our massive storm that's coming, this tropical, well, it's a hurricane now. It'll be a tropical storm by the time it gets to us here in Palm Springs. But we're getting ready for it, man. Big storm coming. These ominous clouds are already starting to roll in to Palm Springs, which is so bizarre because there are no clouds in Palm Springs. It's always sunny here. It's sunny till like 8:30 every night. And you could just see it's got like this orangey hint, like hue to it. It's bizarre. Jerry Bonkowski is our good friend. Stops by the show every Friday to give us his insights on the world of auto racing. He's with NASCAR.com, Auto Week, AutoRacingDigest.com as well. I start with Chase Elliott every week, and I'm going to be consistent. He was damn close last week. McDowell gets the win at the Brickyard 200, but boy, oh boy, Chase Elliott certainly had his opportunity, didn't he?
He certainly did, and I'm going to come out right off the bat. I'm going to say Chase Elliott wins this weekend in Watkins Glen. There we go.
You've said that so many times, though. You know I love you, but you've said it so many times.
Yeah, but I'm convinced it's going to happen this week because he only has one other chance next week at the Daytona. He's not a good racer over at Daytona, so I think that if he's going to do it, it has to be this week, and I think he's got a really good chance. I mean, he is a good road course racer, all things considered, and he obviously showed that last week, he's finishing second to McDowell. But I just think that, he's not going to have a waiver, so he can forget that.
How do you know? Is there anything, is there any sort of history or precedent that tells us he will not get a waiver definitively?
NASCAR has to say that he can get a waiver, and they have not said one word about it. They have not had a peep about it. So, remember, he missed 6 races, and it's a lot different than the situation with Kyle Busch had back in 2015, I think it was.
Yeah.
Where he missed 11 races. He crashed during an Xfinity race in the first weekend at Daytona, and he missed 11 races before he came back, and he winds up winning the championship in the same year. So that was a situation where, they were going to grant him a waiver. They did, and he wound up winning the whole thing, the whole shebang. I don't see NASCAR giving Chase Elliott a waiver. He's the most popular driver, all that kind of stuff. But I just don't see him getting a waiver. There's been really no talk about it. Everybody's been saying,
Can I stop you and play devil's advocate here for a second? And I'm not trying to be a contrarian or a wise guy,
sure.
but let me play devil's advocate here. Are they really going to want to mention it? Because if they make any sort of hint or start to give the sense that they're going to give him the waiver, then it makes the last couple of races kind of meaningless for him because he knows he's going to get in. Would they really say anything anyway?
That's a good point, and you're right. There's been no comments from NASCAR about a waiver, and if they were going to give it to him, you might want to say it early because then he and his team can prepare differently. But you're right. Playing devil's advocate, you really can't say anything about it until you reach a situation where they almost have to do it or they don't have to do it. And I'm still of the mindset that they're not going to do it. He has to race his way in. He has to win, either at the Watkins or Daytona. And I think Watkins is the place he'll do it. So then all the hyperbole, all the question marks, eventually, they become moot because a moot point because then he winds up, racing his way in. So you're right about that. But I just, this is NASCAR. They have gone several times where drivers, like Tony Stewart, he wins the championship in 2013, I think it was, or 14, and he misses the chase there or the playoffs the next year. Jeff Gordon had a similar situation as well too. They did not give those guys waivers. So they made a precedent when they gave the waiver to Kyle Busch. I just don't see him doing it this time, though.
How cool was the story of Michael McDowell last week? For people who didn't see it, I think his little daughter came up and before the race and basically predicted he was going to win, and then he goes out and wins the race.
Yeah, Michael McDowell. He is one of the best guys in this sport. I don't know him that well. I've interviewed him a number of times, but he just seems like he's the kind of guy who's happy to be where he's at. He's got a good team behind him, and the one thing is he is one heck of a road course racer. So, much like Buescher did winning 2 races in a row a few weeks back, I would not be surprised to see Michael McDowell win again this weekend at Watkins. But again, I'm going with Chase. I think Chase is going to do it because Chase has to do it. So, I mean, he's got 2 chances left. I think he's going to do it. But I think McDowell is going to have his name up there. I guarantee McDowell will get the top 5 finish this weekend at Watkins Glen. The biggest problem though is, and so far it doesn't seem to be an issue, but it could be, is weather. I mean, weather around Watkins Glen is so unpredictable. I've been there a couple of times, and literally like you're talking about in Palm Springs, you can have 85 degrees, sun shining, no problem at all. An hour later, you've got a torrential, deluge coming down. So, and you really can't plan for that. And if you do plan for it, you're going to have rain tires regardless if you're going to race there. And unless there's lightning, then of course NASCAR has to say, well, we're going to have to race maybe tomorrow. So, I think that weather will not be a factor, hopefully. But if it is a factor, then NASCAR will have to plan accordingly. And but Mike McDowell, I think, is going to be in the mix. I think that. What he did is it's not only got him in the playoffs, but I mean, just gave his team so much confidence that if he has one, he can do it again.
Does it almost feel like, I hate to say it this way, does it almost feel like a waste when you see these road course drivers, guys that are synonymous with road course victories and road course success, that they wind up getting a berth in the playoffs when when we get down to it in the playoffs, their chances of going anywhere, because they are so specific and so niche in that road course sort of environment, that the spot's almost kind of wasted?
No, I don't think so, because I mean, you look at some of the guys, the special ones that have been around for a long time, early in their careers. I'll mention a few names: Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott. There's another way to mention him too as well. Early in their career, they were horrible on road courses. Road course was like a curse to them. And then, because road course racing became so prominent, I mean, we only had 2 races there for a number of years, and now all of a sudden we wound up having 6, 7 a year. You were almost forced to become a good road course driver, and that's what a lot of these guys went out and did. I mean, they went and took their negativity or their negative approach about road course racing, where they just want to get there, get done, and go. They want to, they embraced the road course racing, and they became good at it. So it doesn't surprise me to see some of these guys, doing well, because they've done well in the past. But you're right. I mean, in the playoffs, you've got to be an all-purpose driver. You've got to be an all-purpose winner. So even though you may not have that many road course races in the playoffs as you do in the regular season, still you have that advantage, if you will. So it's definitely an important thing to be a good road course driver. It's important to be a good overall driver. More importantly, though, I mean, no matter if it's a road course, a short track, a medium-sized track, a long track, you got to be on your game, and that's going to be very difficult. That's going to be interesting to see how the playoffs are this year, for sure.
Jerry, tell me something. Austin Hill gets a contract extension with RCR, and this is one of the bright up and coming stars. We know what he's done on the Xfinity in the Xfinity series. When do you think we'll see somebody like that at the top level?
Oh man, that's a tough question, because there's just so many guys out there that they're looking for their opportunity. I mean, I hate to bring up his name, but one of the guys that I thought was one of the biggest and brightest stars is Noah Gragson, and look what happened to him. With this whole meme thing that he did, and then the fallout with him. I mean, there are a lot of young drivers out there, and I'll say this. Specifically to your question, we're going to be losing a lot of good drivers here in the next few years. Kevin Harvick retires at the end of this season. Martin Truex Jr., I'm really shocked he's coming back for another year. I thought for sure this was going to be it, but he's going to come back for next year. Eric Almirola, I'm not even sure if he's even decided he's going to come back or if he's gone as well. So we've got a lot of good drivers that are going to be leaving the sport if they haven't already planned to leave by the end of this year. So there's going to be a lot of openings. Probably this might be the most openings we've seen for Xfinity drivers over the next year or 2 years. as we've seen probably in the last 20 years. So I think that there's if you're an Xfinity driver, or even if you're a good truck driver, I mean, Haley Deegan, I'll throw her name out. She's not had the success that I think a lot of people have had on her, or thought about her. I think that she, is in a situation where she's very good. She's very popular.
Yeah.
She just hasn't had the success she's had. But here we go. She can do it.
I got to run. I'm up against a hard break, but thank you. I'll be watching this weekend, barring we don't lose power. Chase Elliott, the pick from Jerry Bonkowski. I'll talk to you next week, Jerry.
All right, my friend. Thanks very much.
Perfect, Jerry. Thank you.
Okay, sure. You stay.
Sixth straight loss for the Yankees. Wow. Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Oh, I got it. There we go. Mm-hmm. He says we're doing shots, by the way. I will guarantee you that was him catching himself.
I'm just dreading the weekend right now with this thing coming up our way. Major League Baseball, before we say goodbye. Is everything final? Top of the 10th, Rays and Angels. Rays down front, 8-6, 2 outs, top of the 10th. But something very cool happened in this game. It was 6-6, top of the 9th. And listen to what the Angels did. I don't normally play this. This is not last call because there is one better. But listen to this.
First and third, nobody out. The next 1-2 pitch home, another fastball hit on the ground to shortstop. Rengifo to drill. They hit the double play. Here comes Diaz trying to score. He's out at the plate. Wow!
A triple play. Hey, wow! You talk about that aggressive base running. Unbelievable.
What else tonight?
Rengifo did a great job to make sure he freezes them. Then he flips it over to her. He's making sure they're not going home. And then Sean Noel did an incredible job. Unbelievable first game in the show.
Triple play to send the game to extra innings. Pretty awesome. Shohei Ohtani also hit a grand slam in this game. 43rd home run of the season for the guy that will be the eventual AL MVP. Even though the Angels are disintegrating, much like the Yankees. Both of them are 60 and 62 right now. Ohtani tonight, 2 for 5. The grand slam, he's hitting .308, 43 home runs, 89 RBI. Yeah, what were you going to say? Yes. Last night. Yeah. I'm still sticking with Messi. Messi is still the MVP of all of American sports this year. If he can finish this, if they win the Leagues Cup, which would be the first trophy of any kind in the trophy case for Inter Miami, which coincides with his arrival, and if he somehow, some way, gets that team from dead last into the postseason with 14 games to play in their regular season, it's not even close. All due respect to Ohtani, taking a backseat to Lionel Messi. I'm telling you, he makes me want to watch. For me to say that, I am not soccer guy. Lionel Messi makes me want to watch. It's amazing. It really is. All right, a few notes to get to before we say goodbye and get you the last call. 1, Jadeveon Clowney signs with the Ravens. He's agreed to terms on contract with the team, visited with them recently, also checked out the Jaguars, but it looks like Baltimore is going to be the spot. Gives them an edge rusher. I like it. Clowney was in Cleveland the last 2 years. He was critical of the team on his way out the door. Had 11 sacks during his time in Cleveland, a couple of years there. 65 tackles, 3 forced fumbles. He could still play. Not going to be an every down guy. You know, bring him in there when you want to bring the rush. I love it. I absolutely love it. Take a flyer on a guy like that. When you can get guys on 1-year deals, I have always said, man, the best option for every team in every sport with every player is 1 year because they're playing for their next contract. Clowney for a year, probably be a good soldier. So that's one. I got to say, and I like Pete Alonso, but if this is true, if he did what I saw he did you see Mason Wynn, who's one of the Cardinals' top prospects, got his first career base hit? And Pete Alonso of the Mets, this is unbelievable. Take a listen. You got to listen to it.
Be ready for it this time. Little chopper hit toward third. That ball is going to be late at first. Infield hit for Mason Wynn. There's his first in the big leagues tonight. talked all about the skill set of Mason Wynn. We told you about the speed. Shows off some of it right there for his first major league hit as his family looks on and cheers. The Wizard.
Here's what you don't see or what you don't hear in that call. Pete Alonso took the baseball and threw it into the stands. I don't think he knew. Maybe he didn't know. Or thought maybe Mason Wynn already had a hit. He chucked it into the stands. God, he couldn't have known, right? There's no way he could have known. Good news. Here's the good news. The fan who got the ball gave it to security. They gave it to Mason Wynn. So he's got the baseball from his first major league hit. All's well, that ends well. But Pete Alonso, man. Wow. I mean, who even throws a ball into a stand in the middle of play? You might do it after like the third out of an inning, which makes me think he might have known it was his first hit, just didn't care. I am too. Good riddance to bad garbage. Sage Steele is out at ESPN. We told you about that this week on the show, and she's already starting her martyrdom tour. Oh, yeah. She announced this week she was leaving ESPN after she successfully settled a lawsuit, she says. She claims that Barbara Walters once tried to beat her up on the set of The View. You imagine? Barbara Walters, who was like 1,000 years old. Unbelievable. It was Barbara Walters, Whoopi Goldberg, and myself in the dark green room off to the side, Steele said, on the Megyn Kelly show on Thursday. Well, one liar to another. Walters just started to back up toward me and looked at me and got close and elbowed me, and it pushed me back into the wall in the trash can. I was like, what did she just do to me? Steele added, this 140-year-old woman just tried to tackle me. She said it happened in 2014 following a segment on The View where Walters challenged Steele's biracial identity on air and asked why she didn't identify as black like former President Barack Obama. Wow. Sage Steele, man. It's just so bad. It's just so bad. It's amazing to watch somebody just set their whole career up in flames. Without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen.
Last call.
Yep.
Last call.
Mm-hmm.
Last call.
Yep.
Last call.
It is time for last call, and tonight it belongs to the Cincinnati Reds, who had one hell of a finish to their game tonight against the Toronto Blue Jays, of all teams. No score, ninth inning, not for long. Let's walk it off, everybody.
And now the rookie, Encarnacion Strand. Will he end the night for Cincinnati? He'll have to deal with the flame-throwing Jordan Hicks. Encarnacion Strand ends the night for the Reds.
Courtesy of Apple TV, Encarnacion Strand, the walk-off job. Reds still very much alive for a berth in the postseason. That does it for us. We'll see you back here on Tuesday. If you're in the path of Hurricane Hillary or Tropical Storm Hillary, stay safe. I'm going to try to. I'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks, brother. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. That's for sure. All right. Thanks, man. Be well. All right. Bye-bye. Does it for us on the video side as well. Thank you for watching.
We are off on Monday, back on Tuesday. Hopefully not underwater. Yay. Have a great night. I'll talk to you all on social media throughout the weekend. Keep tabs on me there at the back page on X, formerly known as Twitter. Jason Page 77 on TikTok if I ever decide to post there again. Facebook, all of those good places. I'll see you all later. Have a great night.